So the Apes announced recently about Unicron League and doing a tournament. Now, we sort of started our own tournament, but obviously that's around Prime League effects, things like that. So the Unicron tournament was a kind of a welcomed addition to some of us, not to others. And I sort of said this today, that the problem they've got is there's a bit of a lack of top players in the game. And you'll find that in the top alliances, say you're talking, Prime, Scorched, Psy, Horde, ones like that, you'll have a solid 40 players that are fine, pretty much, dealing with Unicron and going for it. And there's a good 4 teams that will do that. After that, you're going to struggle to find teams that can compete, and you'll find that, when I was in Asylum, there was a good few of us that worked really well and did well in Unicron League. And I personally think that if you're in Unicron and you can beat the commander, you've done pretty well. Those effects are pretty gruesome with the self healing and the extended range of like cannons and turrets and mortars. I mean, I put a gunner down and Minerva to try and clear an area. Now in Prime League, that's not an issue because Minerva will self regen and the gunner will sort of stay alive usually with Nightstick with the healing from it. And the turret literally killed Minerva because of the ricochet of the laser ricochet core. Got it right. Because of that core, it just took Minerva out. Just absolutely smashed her. I was like, whoa. I think that was the point where I was like, some of these things are dangerous. Not careful. And I think that with Unicron League, you've got to really be careful around your planning and really have a plan in place. And sometimes I've been criticised for over planning and being too cautious, and some people sort of go a bit gung ho. But I think that in Unicron, that sort of helped me a bit. And I know that sort of people will say you need max bots and you need this for Unicron, and I still stand by it. Listen, guys, I have one max bot, which is Warpath, and he's not even always my war team. I even have Minerva level 66, to give you an idea. But I say most of my bots are around level 67, 68. So although you don't need max bots, you do need them close to max. But don't be too concerned with maxing them out. Just make sure they can do the job they want to do. And I do very well. I've done two Unicron wars now. I've got 300 in both. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and say my team is like perfect score all the time. It was very close where I've got like 2 or 3 bots left in these Unicron battles, so they are really difficult. Don't get me wrong. No doubt at some point I'm going to drop points, but my team is working really well at the minute. And there's certain parts of that that are doing all right, and there's certain bots that are doing really well. And I thought I'd sort of go through some of the bots that work really well and how to use them in Unicron League, and sort of how to maybe set your base up to get the most out of it in terms of defense. So, talking bots, I think that the main bot that everyone's looking to and the main bot that everyone realizes is so good is Roadbuster, because literally you can take out anything on the map with one shot and you can eliminate that Prime Core or that Megatronus Core or the Shield Gen, whatever it may be that's causing you problems. But people are finding a lot of problems with the sort of Shield Gen cluster because of the self-heal and dealing with the Micronus and things like that. So because Roadbuster instantly kills any defense, he's looking really good right now. Even though it's quite hard to manage, he can die. It's just about managing his deployment and making sure he's behind someone. Stick Buzz Strike on him to keep him back. Just 2k damage in a line. Absolutely crazy. And so all of a sudden as well, those defenses that you couldn't one-shot with Sea Spray because of the massive HP of Unicron, with that sort of hit of Buzz Strike, then Sea Spray tends to do really well after that, clearing an area. You can still use Sea Spray twice to clear an area, so Sea Spray is still a really good bot to use. I find that people are really struggling with SG Jetfire because he sort of hits, and sort of spins around in a circle. That by the time he's trying to destroy that defense, it's self-healed. And so a lot of people are coming back saying, my SG Jetfire is not doing what it should. It is, but it's just not as instant as Roadbuster. And so, although you've got that ranged combat with SG Jetfire, and you've got the melee of Roadbuster, I think if you're using SG Jetfire, then you've got to put some kind of acid on top. And I think that once you start doing that with another bot, your cost goes very high. Now, when I play in Prime League, I'm not just bragging, but to give you an idea, I normally finish with anything between 50 to 40 points left over at the end. And sometimes I think just to guarantee the battle, where literally in Unicron, I'm literally finishing with none, and maybe even taking a chance where sometimes I've got like 5 bots left, and I'm literally at the mercy of the base where I'm like, I've got no ability points left. I'm just going to keep powering the base and hope that I beat it. I think that's well balanced in terms of like the hardest challenge in the game. I think some of the top players need that. So I think it's well balanced. Next up, obviously Minerva and Trax, both really good for survivability when you're hitting those sort of combiners and bots. And my general rule is that I don't want to get hit by defenses while I'm battling the combiner and the bots, and I try and work around that. But in Prime League, it's in Unicron League, sorry, it's very difficult, but it's possible. But if not, make sure you take a Trax with your or Minerva. Obviously, you need to get rid of those FFD, and that's where maybe Warpath comes in. It all depends on the base type. Now, if you've got the back-loaded bases, Warpath is brilliant. Front-loaded bases, it can get quite expensive. But even clearing an area with Warpath, I've used that a couple of times as well. So I think Warpath's obviously another key bot for taking out not just defenses and build bots, but just like creating paths within the base as well. Normally 3 hits from him will take out an entire line. And you can see there, if you look at my base design there, I'm sure there's certain paths you can look at where you're thinking, I can take 2, 3, 4 defenses out there with 3 shots for Warpath. The problem then is trying to compete with getting through the base with little points. But a lot of people rushing as well. A lot of people going back to rushing, and I did that when HQ 18 first dropped. Was struggling to beat it and get rid of that cluster because I had no answer for it. I didn't have brainstorm, didn't have pipes, and so I started rushing as well. It's not very consistent though, so I wouldn't advise it unless you're really desperate and there's nothing else you can do and you cannot compete. Then obviously try rushing. This person in our alliance that's going down to a T, but a lot of people aren't going to try that. So I won't really advise taking Optimus personally. And then obviously the last one is pipes. That's the one of the main bots. Again, got to take out the FFDs though, so that's where Smokescreen will come into play as well. Take them out and build bots. Obviously the build bots protect nearby defenses as well, so it makes it even more important. But using pipes sort of like to pop outposts, to distract outposts, to distract defenses is absolutely essential. Or obviously we've got another brushing bot with a shield. But for me personally, I think the 2 most important things to take to Unicron are not even bots. I think the number 2 thing you need to take personally is Ruination of God Neptune. One of those 2, because they are so important as combiners, do so much damage compared to the rest. Again, people don't realize or forget that FFDs do affect Ruination because it is a shield. So you need to rush in and keep that shield on him to make sure that he can survive through the rest of the damage. But if you don't take them FFDs out, it will affect him and make him die quicker. So keep that in mind. But honestly, the number 1 thing to take to Unicron League is the Arc. I've literally took him to every single battle and he has won every single Titan. And when it comes down to it, where, like I said, towards the end of the battle where you're literally out of ability points and you're at the mercy of the opposite base, and your Arc or your Titan wins, and you can start plucking up ability points by taking out these resource buildings at the end of the map, when you can use him to help kill the HQ when you're running out of time, because even time's an issue now. I've finished some bases with 10-15 seconds left because you're trying to get through all the defenses. You lose a couple of bots, your DPS drops. But I haven't lost a single battle with the Arc. And people still ask me what my setup is. That's during my setup. You're better changing this to the Battle Hardened if you want to win without using any abilities on the opposite Titan. But I do like the Essence Drive simply because it does give your bots regular and ability damage to get through the base a bit quicker, as long as they're sort of at full health. It tends to work quite well, but you need to use at least one ability on the opposite Titan. But at the moment, the Arc at level 19 does beat a level 24 max or a level 20 Scorponok, and does beat a level 20 Triptychon or level 20 Metroplex. So right now, they did talk about a rock, paper, scissors, each battling each, and I think they've tried that with the fire and the electric and things like that. But from what I can gather, from what I've tested, the Arc beats both of them hands down. And if you're taking anything else than Arc into the top Unicron League, then you've got to be prepared to lose your Titan and be prepared to be fighting the Titan probably at the end of the battle. Now, some people have reported that they can use abilities on opposite Titan and win, but it makes it a lot harder. And with the acid as well, it stops that self-healing. And so for me, the Arc is the number one thing to take into Unicron League. Really good Titan. And then when it comes to defense, a lot of people are saying that the best thing for defense is front-loaded bases, maybe even time traps with people, timing out, losing bots. But personally, what I found is, and sort of the thing that I'm testing right now, is putting my combiner up front along with twin twist. I know people will go like, well, that makes it easy for popping twin twist. Yeah, it does. It must have you. But a lot of people try and walk and try and drop ruination when they're in trouble of getting, a lot of damage. They'll try and drop ruination quite quickly. And what I've found is that with the opposite Titan, with the FFD still intact, with Twin Twist hitting ruination, he dies pretty quick. Now, if you can kill ruination on God Neptune very quickly, then the damage that he does is massively reduced. And as I've said, personally, I think that he's probably the best combiner in the game, but he is. And trying to get him to be diluted, to not do as much damage on your base, is absolutely essential, however you can do that. And so literally, I've gone front-loaded, Twin Twist, Beam Lasers at the front, Sky Rain at the front, Slash at the front. I'm going pure damage right at the start to force people to try and use their combiner, try and drop him early. Hopefully doesn't get up the base as much and take out as much of the base as he wants, and the FFD will stop his shield, meaning he dies a lot quicker. That's the idea. A lot of people, like I said, running front-loaded bases. Whether it be like this, whether it be more compact, to do a lot of damage very quickly. Just be careful of AoE bots like Brainstorm, bots like that. But people are sort of saying front-loaded bases are the sort of way to go. With the back-loaded bases, with Pop Warpath, time maybe is an issue, but you can use Warpath to still good effect. And then once you got rid of the FFDs, you then got a lot of points. Points are no longer an issue, and you can also use Ruination to clear a huge area. And so front-loaded bases restrict the points, stop people killing the FFDs from the launch pad because of such range with all the defenses. So we're finding that front-loaded bases are a bit harder. So if you are running Unicron League, especially if you're a mid to low player, maybe outside the top 4, just try and make sure that your base is front-loaded. If you're a bit bad with design, guys, go and check out the top guys in the game. I look at the leaderboard. Most of them, especially the likes of Prime, Scorched, Horde, and Psy, most of those guys will have Unicron League bases set up. And we'll give you an idea on the meta in terms of bases in terms of the league. So go check them out. Try one. And I always say to people, don't just copy it. Try and make some adjustments, but make sure you know what you're doing. Don't make too many adjustments because you'll make it open to other attacks or susceptible to something. But consider switching some defenses out, switching some round, and trying something a bit different. You never know, it might work. But good luck to those competing in the Unicron League. I think the knockout's starting this week. And the next stage where the top 4 are going to get started next week. Going to be excited for that. We'll follow it next week and see what everyone is up to. Good luck to those that are taking part. And yeah, I look forward to seeing how everyone does.